Welcome to episode 362 of In Touch with iOS, the show to talk to you about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, Vision Pro, Mac, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and we've got our panel here this week, and Chuck Joyner's back. How you doing, Chuck?
I'm doing great, Dave. Good to be here on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
I wish it was the end of the week, but it's not for most of us.
Yes. Okay, there's a well-being day for my company, and we're very proud of that. But I know, but you don't like that too much. So. Oh, anyway, Marty Jencius, thanks you for being here as well. How you doing, Marty?
Today is 40 years ago today. Ferris Bueller took the day off.
He took the day off at the Cubs game,
and went to a Cubs game. And June 5th, 1985 was the fictional day.
Yes,
that Ferris Bueller took off.
That is true.
So
that is true. That was
better.
That was a spectacular movie, I must say. Spectacular. Oh, and Eric Bolden is here. How you doing, Eric?
Good. That's much more relaxing now. It's good to be here.
Oh, yeah. We always have some relaxing, fun times here. And made it just under the wire. Thank you for being here, Jeff Gamet. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes. Well, glad you are here, and you were able to make it. Hopefully it wasn't too hard, the traffic you said you were in.
Traffic lights are horrible for managing traffic.
Yeah.
And when one of them is out, then it shows just how fragile the horrible system is.
Yep.
And yes, there's one traffic light out, and it had traffic backed up for, I don't know, 2 miles, maybe more. It was crazy.
You don't tell me about traffic in Chicago, so.
Oh, you know traffic.
Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. So, all right, let's go and jump into the show this week. As we first always start off with is In Touch with Vision Pro. Apple released its latest transparency report, and it was a kind of a focus on Vision Pro users, and I thought this was interesting to discuss. It is a report that covering the government and private party data requests. It was from January to June of 2024, and they actually explore some of the impacts, especially if you use Vision Pro. So these are some of the key highlights. No geofence data is shared. Apple confirms that it cannot provide geofence data to authorities, and that's great news for Vision Pro users concerned about location privacy. Emergency requests scrutinized. Apple only releases user info during emergencies involving imminent harm, and then that was after a legal review. Push notification data rarely shared. Is about 28% of the push tokens requests from the U.S. authorities that resulted in Apple sharing that user info. A little high, 28%. Contact access required a warrant. Law enforcement must obtain a valid search warrant in the U.S. or MLAT request. International for Apple to share content like iCloud backups or spatial media. And then finally was the data minimization in action. Vision Pro users who can benefit from Apple's stance on limiting stored data and rejecting overly broad, invalid requests. So why does this really matter? If you're using a Vision Pro for apps for productivity, entertainment, or immersive experiences, understanding Apple's legal boundaries will reinforce your trust with the privacy-first design. Your spatial data, app interactions, and locations are not easily accessible, even under legal pressures. So makes me feel good. I mean, I think we all here probably pretty much knew that Apple's stance on privacy in general is like this. What did you think on this, Eric? What Apple did announce with this?
It is really good to hear, and the idea that even when a request comes in that looks like they need to do something, they go and review it again just to make sure it's legal. That's a good sign. So they're doing all of the due process that we're finding is very important now.
Yeah. Marty, anything to add on this?
Well, I think the convenience right now that Vision Pro has is that there's not a lot of device units out there.
True.
So comparing to other places that and other devices that Apple products that people would use. So we're kind of flying under the radar with a lot of this. I think, particularly Eric uses it as a lot of work interface. And so I can understand his excitement about it. And I think it's good for people who are using it for productivity.
Yeah.
I didn't get into the transparency report, but I'm really curious about the number of requests. They talked about increasing requests that have come over the years. And I'm really curious about if they've been receiving more requests from the UK, considering what they're trying to do with pulling data.
That is true. Chuck, you have anything to add on this?
Not really. I mean, I'm not a Vision Pro person like some of you people. So yet. So, I frankly, I sort of wait for this stuff to bubble up and see if it interests me or if I think it's important. And I'm not qualified to comment at this point.
Okay.
Like we'd ever let that stop you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you.
What do you think, Jeff?
All right. So Apple's transparency report, I think, is super important because there's a lot of things Apple can tell us, and there's things Apple can tell us that they can't tell us. Wink. And so Apple has canary in a coal mine kind of statements that they make. And so if they stop making certain statements about, we are not sharing certain types of information, or we are refusing certain requests, when those statements stop, it means they're doing it because the government is forcing them to. And so they're giving us a red flag without having to give us that red flag. Luckily, we're not in that situation. And so I do like seeing these reports and seeing the consistency in them. The other thing that I take away from these reports every year is that Apple is still in the default mode of asking why when they get these requests, instead of being in a default mode of saying, okay. It doesn't matter how legit it looks.
Mm-hmm.
Always question and verify that they actually do need to hand over the info.
Yep. And thank you, ChatGPT, for giving me that nice summary that I provided in the show notes, as well as the link to the report is in the show notes as well. A couple Reddit posts here about Vision Pro. Poster here posted something on an update about their lenses, and I kind of question this too because I'm still learning how to keep it clean. We've got the D-band, Marty and I, to cover the front of the Vision Pro, but the inside back of the lenses, I was worried because every times I have the Vision Pro on, and you can kind of see some dirty stuff on there and such. But I guess using the microfiber cloth that came with the Vision Pro is usually more than sufficient. Marty, have you used anything else beyond that to clean these lenses? This is the inside lenses, by the way.
Yeah, I often have the inserts in all the time, so nothing gets between the inserts and the actual lens. Okay. But I have purchased a whole box load of those Zeiss lens cleaning, which early on when the device came out, that's what people were suggesting was safe and good for it. Mm-hmm. And so, occasionally I'll wipe through with that, particularly if it looks a little hazy in terms of, either fingerprints or something else has gotten on the lens, or just condensation over a period of time.
Right.
I'll wipe it down with the Zeiss optical lens cleaners.
Okay. How about you, Marty? I mean, Eric, do you do this as well?
I strongly suggest having bad vision and needing inserts. That has been the easiest way to fix it. Drop the insert in, and I sometimes I clean it with a shirt. I've been known to kind of scrub it off a little bit.
He did do a finger with the lick, so just for our listeners.
Yeah, not because that's too gross to directly lick. Indirect. And then I've got the glasses cleaner for my glasses. Well, I don't want to spray it while it's on my. That actually works pretty well. But yes, the microfiber cloths, that makes a huge difference. The ones that come with it are really, really nice. They work well.
This is
the
one that Apple gives. Then it's really thin. It's not the heavier duty one that when I was made fun of by buying the Apple polishing cloth is the one, that thicker one. But yeah, this one's pretty good. I don't even know if they sell. I find that you can buy more of these because have you seen them out there at all? As far as being able to buy this particular one, I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen them.
Okay.
I bought one of those thicker cloths, and as much as people want to make fun of them for paying that for that cloth, it is the best thing in cleaning off screens. Yeah. It works on screens.
Put a little liquid.
Yep.
So I don't have the corrective lenses. I mean, the only glasses I'm using are reading glasses. So it's kind of hard for me to have those lenses. So I just got to be careful what I do. So, and then the other thing I wanted to mention here, another Reddit post here is I wanted to talk. We've been talking a little bit about this the last couple of weeks about that D-Day combat game. Not game. It was a documentary that I thought was really well put together. I finally watched the whole thing, and it was absolutely amazing. This link here shows a video of the actual movie and the daughter talking about her real life with her dad and going to Normandy on Omaha Beach and all that. And it was 20 minutes. It was a good experience. I mean, there were some slow parts and trying to figure out what was interactive and what wasn't. When the pictures were coming up, you can just pinch and pull the picture and look, and you can go look right at it, which is kind of cool. And they show the helmet that you were able to pick up the old helmet up, and you can actually spin it around, and you can bring it right at your face and look at it, which I thought was absolutely spectacular. So I think a lot of people have said some great things about it. I know the one thing you made a comment on, Marty, was that, like, if you close it or if you went away from the app, it would start over again, which was kind of a bummer. It happened to me, so I had to advance it again to go back where I left off. So, but I think the app developer did a pretty good job considering being able to document all this information. This was the was the 70th anniversary, is it, of D-Day? I think it was. So any more added thoughts you wanted to add with Marty on this? With this
the thing that bothers me the most about it is there's no way to move that back like 15 seconds.
Right.
Because when I finally got to the interactive part, it's like, okay, I can pick up the helmet, but there are other objects in there that you can pick up, and it just doesn't sustain itself long enough to pick up the other objects and be comfortable with it. But I do say this is an interesting way in which they put this together, and the format includes the spatial video, which some of that which they've converted, the spatial photography, taking black and whites and adding dimensions to it. It has that sort of gaming aspect to it. Some things that you see in meta games where you can pick objects up and move them around, and also in Apple games too. I mean, in the Vision Pro games. And it's a combination of all of that with a good story kind of weaved around it. So it's a really different model for storytelling.
Yeah. And I also add, I'll get right to you, Eric. I also add, I thought it was super cool. You could pick up the camera, the old Bell & Howell camera, and I'm spinning around it because I worked many years ago. I worked for the company that was still supporting Bell & Howell 8mm cameras and stuff. Not that old of a one. That one, I think that was a 35mm one, but it was just really cool to see, and that was state of the art technology back in the 40s. What that camera was, what he took movies of. So, but go ahead, Eric. Add your last thoughts on what you thought of D-Day.
Yeah, I just want to give them full credit for probably the best use of AI to add color and to add extra bits to the scene. Yet they kept the original picture, so you can compare the original black and white with the augmented frame. So it was, that they preserved that kind of historic past with here's some extra bits. I really appreciated that. Full credit going to the photographer. That was a really nice touch.
I wish more non-users could have the opportunity to see this, because it really sells the platform.
It really does. It really does. I was very impressed with this app. I thought it was worth the $5 or $4.99 we paid for it. Well, at least what I paid for it. I think you found the value of it too. So, so very cool to what they took advantage. And I hope others look at this for some ideas for some apps like this in the future. And that really just got me even more excited about the Vision Pro and what it can do, honestly. So. All right, then last one I want to bring up real quick is during Fireball. When we talk about this, we didn't talk about it here too much, but of course the Apple management is not going to be on the talk show live stream from Cupertino. So they are going to live stream it, and I guess they did it last year on a Theater from Vision OS. And Theater is a great app that has a way of bringing like my Plex library is part of that, so I can watch movies and have a great feeling like I'm actually in a theater. So this will be the second time they're going to do this, and it's going to be full blown immersive technology. I don't know how immersive that John Gruber's going to be, but it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. Again, I didn't even see it. Well, I didn't have a Vision Pro when that aired last year, so. I don't think any of us did. It was June 2024. When I think about it. Oh no, it was out. Was it out? I think it was out, wasn't it? In February.
Yeah, it's February.
It was out for like 3 months. Okay, you guys had it. That's not me yet. So that's kind of cool, and I'm still curious to know who he's going to have on the show. So thoughts on this, Eric?
Well, I'm also curious to see how they film it. If they do the same thing they did last year, or if they try to add an extra camera angle, or a little higher resolution. So, no idea who they're going to have.
Yeah.
It'll be a nice surprise.
Yeah. Marty?
Yeah, along the lines, I think it's great. I didn't even think of looking in theater. Today, I was going through Reddit, and there's apparently a group of people that are putting together an immersive keynote. So they're going to somehow take the live stream from the keynote and maybe other aspects of WWDC and put it in a kind of immersive environment. I'll look for that post on Reddit, and I'll try and send it to you, Dave, so you can put it in the show notes, at least the link to it. The guy is saying, just DM me directly, and when we're ready to go with it, we'll send you the link to be able to do that. So, and they showed a little demo, and it was like, the rainbow shell that they have at Apple, and then they had the screen projected up, and it was from last year's keynote, and so it looks like that's going to happen. And interesting if people want to sit there with their headsets on and watch the keynote that way.
Yeah, throw it in our show notes, but I'm sure we'll talk about it on Vision Profiles too next week.
Yeah,
after WWDC. So
yeah, it might be too late for Vision Profiles though, because the stream will be over.
The stream will be over. That's why they wouldn't have it ready yet. So I'll plenty to talk about regardless. So Chuck or Jeff, did you want anything to add to this?
I'll throw out an absolutely bonkers prediction.
Okay.
Gruber's guest is Sam Altman.
Yeah, you did say that on Mac Voices the other night.
Oh, yeah, I guess I did. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, I just think that would be incredibly funny.
That would be funny. Definitely won't be Johnny Ives, so we can definitely plan on that. That won't be our keynote bingo tomorrow either.
What would be even funnier is if someone from Apple did show up.
Yeah, not necessarily Jaws or Craig Federighi, but
even them. I mean, that would really throw a curveball into all the complaining and all the judgment that has been passed around. So
yeah,
part of that
because Gruber.
Yeah, well, that actually kind of appeals to me. That that would be such a nice curveball for Apple to throw.
No.
So if they just even if John wasn't ready for them, if they just showed up and walked on stage,
That would be kind of funny.
Because who's going to stop them if they decide to do it?
Then you think he would be prepared. So then, what would he do? Because he always had his little card of notes.
It would be really interesting to see, wouldn't it? Yeah,
that would be pretty fabulous. All right. So beta this week. We still aren't in beta yet. We can expect to hear all the announcements this coming Monday on June 9th from WWDC. Meanwhile, there is just some talk about what they can possibly expect, that they might release 18.6 as one of the final updates before allegedly iOS 26. We think that's going to be announced. So they're saying what the timing is really going to be with this and what to expect. So far, the timing is going to be the Apple software engineers have been internally testing 18.6 since late March. Interesting. According to the Mac Rumors is where this is from, the visitors logs. And the first beta of 13.6 through 16.6 were all released prior to the WWDC over the years. I don't know if you can really bring that, and they got the grid to show the last 4 or 5 iOS releases. So you're definitely going to expect an announcement for the beta for iOS 26, I would anticipate. And even Mark Gurman from Bloomberg said that 18.6 could enable Apple Intelligence in China, which is a possibility. But there's still an update on that China is still, it's been delayed because of Chinese regulatory agencies, of course. No surprise there. But it's also probably going to include some bug fixes and patch and security vulnerabilities like it always does. So, Jeff, do you have any thoughts on this?
If we're at a point in the news cycle where people are speculating on what's going to be in a 0.6 update, and they're like, yeah, we got nothing. What that tells me is we must be really close to WWDC, and and people are scraping for news. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get what we get when we get it, because that's how Apple rolls. And yet I have a prediction for 18.6. It will add in support for an as of yet unannounced product.
Oh, maybe.
Oh,
yeah, good bold.
Yeah, I'm just pulling that one out of my butt right there.
Yep. I'll just open it up to the rest of the panel if anything you want to add to this.
What is there to add?
I know.
I can't top that.
Yeah.
Whole new product. Yeah, I'm impressed.
If you're going to make a stupid prediction, go all in.
I don't know if it's a stupid prediction or not. I imagine that they're trying to integrate the operating systems across all different platforms, and there are a couple of products that they have thrown out as potentials. I have my wish list on, even if they're leaking a product or saying, hey, this is what we're working on next. It wouldn't surprise me that they've already started considering what code's going to go into it. And so I don't think it's that wacky of a prediction.
Marty, you're being an enabler.
Yeah, well,
I know.
And we might find out tomorrow on the Mac Show too. All right, let's go ahead and move on. In touch with the Mac this week, not much to talk about other than, I guess we'll go by the rumor it did get leaked. So that we have, they're pretty sure that the next big Mac OS update will be taking a trip to Tahoe. Lake Tahoe is renowned for its deep blue water, which could be an allusion to the user interface of the overhaul of the expected new Mac OS. And this was according to Bloomberg's Mark Gurman. Apple has decided on the name of Mac OS 26. And it's going to be called Tahoe, after Lake Tahoe in Northern California. So I know these are rumors, and we probably ruin the surprise when they do announce it, but that's okay. I kind of like to know about, listen to the rumors and kind of laugh about it. So we'll find out, I guess, Monday, right? And I don't know much else we could say about this other than, that we got a new Mac OS coming, right?
So if Sequoia, which I've always found hard to spell,
tall trees,
I think Tahoe is an advancement. If Sequoia's tall trees, what will Tahoe be, Jeff?
Big lake.
Big Lake.
He never
had it
fails.
ready. He had it
ready to go.
By the way, I hadn't looked at the show notes until well, actually, I'm seeing each thing for the first time as Dave starts talking about the story. So as soon as I saw it'll be Tahoe, my first thought was great. That's another one for me to not remember, but Big Lake.
Big Lake. All right. Well, we'll see what happens there with this. Other topics I wanted to hit real quick here. Why Apple TV is beating Roku and Fire TV for privacy protection. The Apple TV has been much more private than its competing streaming hardware, offering users a rare refuge from the persuasive tracking that defines most smart TV experiences. And this was a comprehensive analysis, actually, on Ars Technica. Main difference is said to be that Apple's approach to automatic contact recognition (ACR), the invasive tracking technology that monitors viewing habits on nearly every smart TV and streaming device. Apple TV devices don't include ACR software, which gives them an immediate privacy advantage over the alternates like Roku and Amazon's Fire TV and the built-in smart TV platforms. But the report also notes that during setup, Apple TV users can easily disable the S-Lady, the location tracking, and now analytics during its sharing with Apple. So in contrast, competing services don't even give you an option. So I would tend to agree with this wholeheartedly that Apple TV, I have always said, is the best platform. Not that I think all of us here are a little biased because it's an Apple product, but this very reason. I can't stand smart TV at all. I just disable them. I don't even want to use them. I mean, I've set them up just I want to play and see what they do, and I'm not sharing anything because I don't use it. So you're not going to really have any of my habits. My TV's hooked up to an HDMI connection, and it's doing all its driving through the Apple TV. But yeah, this is another reason why I wholeheartedly trust to have an Apple TV, and why it's worth the extra money for it. I'll start with you, Chuck. What do you think on this?
This just speaks to Apple's focus on privacy. It's just one more time that they've gotten called out in a positive way for what they do. There are times I honestly believe that none of us truly understand how much information all our devices are siphoning off, and how much we're being sold. And I feel like personally I'm becoming more and more aware of it every day. And it's not that I'm really that paranoid. It's just that I don't like it. And I don't like it, that I keep having things shoveled at me. So
I agree.
And I'm not sure I'm really ready to compromise on experience. Let's say if, Box X came out and said, we absolutely unconditionally do not share anything. And it was confirmed that they didn't, but the interface was terrible. But happily, we don't have that because Apple tries to do a quality interface and deliver a private product. So, I love it. I love it.
I'll just add one other caveat to this, and which was really irritating me, because I had to set something up for my mom, and my mom has challenges being able to understand interfaces very easily. And so I thought the Roku would probably be the best to use because it's probably the more simpler of interface as well. The remote can be a little challenging in itself, but they have to have every freaking ad there is imaginable on the homepage. So I tell her, don't click this, click YouTube TV. I gave her that, and there's all the those other buttons. Ignore them. I was able to delete most of them. But then what happens is something else installs without you even doing it. So therein lies right there is my problem with privacy, because nothing installs on the Apple TV unless you install it from the App Store, period. Nothing will go on there unless you do that. I've got it set up so I have 3 or 4 Apple TVs and here at my house and in our lake house too, and it's all synced on my account. So all the apps stay the same. So they sync together. So you go to each Apple TV, you have the same exact experience. You don't see that on a Roku. I mean, you just don't, or even Fire TV for that matter. Smart TVs, forget it. They got ads flying all over the place here. So, Marty, go on. I'm going to start hit you on this.
I think I'm going to send this article to a relative of mine who is really afraid of security and privacy issues. And a few years back, I sent them a Roku TV because it was a easy add-on piece, and for their they just gotten high bandwidth internet in their household, and I got them that. They fell in love with the fact that they could use Roku for those kinds of things, and then I got them part of my family and put them on Apple TV, and then sent them an Apple TV, and I don't think they're using the Apple TV. I think they're just using the Apple TV app. So this will maybe get them to make the shift over to the hardware, and run their stuff through them. So,
yep. How about you, Jeff?
I have long been a big supporter of Apple TV as the best television viewing experience, and smart televisions, not just in general but across the board, are an abomination. It's always poor interfaces, underpowered processors, horribly invasive tracking, and it's just a subpar experience. Plus, if your TV dies and you're using an Apple TV as your television delivery tool, you just plug a new television in and away you go. You don't have to re-enter anything. Just new TV, it works.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, the automatic content recognition not being part of Apple TV, to me, is a huge selling point, and it's something that I think Apple should have commercials about.
Yeah.
So go Apple.
Go ahead, Eric. What do you think?
I'm just happy they have regular updates. I think some of the TVs have regular updates, but I don't think they're helpful for the user. So having feature upgrades and other updates and continued support and being able to connect to speakers and if your TV supports it, be able to have, the TV sound go out to the Apple speakers and the Apple TV stuff go to the Apple speakers. It's just nice. And somebody comes in with a phone with a little teeny tiny video on it, says, "Oh, you got to see this, you got to see this." And you just say, "Send it to the TV or to the Apple TV." And it shows up on your screen and you don't have to do anything else. I really appreciate the simplicity of that.
Yep. And last, with Chuck.
I think you started with me, but I do want to add something.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. No, but since you added something, I want to add something. But Dave, aren't you concerned that you can only add apps to your Apple TV that are on the App Store that have been vetted by Apple, and you can't just go out anywhere and load anything on?
Oh, no. Really?
I mean, Chuck, do you want to go wait in the car?
No.
Roll down the windows a little bit. We don't want to suffocate Chuck.
I think we all know.
I mean, I find it really ironic that, in one place they're being praised as protectors of privacy and everything, and in other places they're being forced to open it up so that we are allowed to install malware on our devices. Thank you very much.
No, that's a very valid point. All right, next story, next topic here. We did last week talk about that Apple did announce that they are now offering iPad repairs in their self-service program like they had for the iPhone for many years, and they opened that program up. But one of the things that was found that was quoted here is one of the folks from one of the app repair companies. It's called XI Repair. Said that hidden within the iPad announcement was some very good news. Same-day repairs on iPads are now available for the very first time. That's because Apple has never repaired their devices within stores. So they always had to be shipped out, like we talked about. Like they are going to do them in stores. Of course, gives you delays and not being without your iPad. But these large independent shops are now going to be able to keep enough parts on stock to be able to perform the repairs on the spot. Apple may may even choose to ship the iPad parts to the local repair companies, meaning that Apple Care warranty repairs could potentially be completed faster as well. Um, so that's what's great about these. What's great about this new parts distributor program is going to allow them to get these parts maybe even same day or pickup options to grab it. The only bad part's going to be is the fact that first that in theory anybody can offer iPad repairs, but the reality is it's going to require tools that are expensive and that these small shops are not going to probably be able to afford. And that's great that they can do these repairs, but the repairs could be over $3,000, which would take this over 100 iPads to repair just to recoup that cost from those tools. So just found this to be interesting to see where this is, and the repair shops have to think about that too. I mean, they may not want to do these types of repairs. Maybe doing screen replacements, things like that, and able to get away with this. Jeff, what do you think?
The big surprise to me in all of this is that Apple is making so much available. The rest of it, no surprise at all. The fact that that the self-repair program, this is not for us. Even though Apple does say, we can do this ourselves. Yeah, this is for repair shops. But the fact that it's cost prohibitive even for a lot of repair shops, and the cost to do the repairs is going to be cost prohibitive for customers.
Right.
None of this surprises me at all.
Nope. What do you think, Mark?
The right to repair that's being pushed on the devices, they've found a way to do it. Now, it's not very appealing. They didn't say they had to come up with a good process. They just had to come up with a process that allowed people to do it. And, the folks who are going to do those in stores, there's a cost involved in it with the tools, as you laid out, Dave. It just doesn't make me feel any more secure about taking it to a repair shop to have done it. I'm not sure the article says that Apple will start doing them in their stores, like same-day repairs. It's saying that they're possible with these other providers, that it could be done. And I bet they're still sending them out to other places to have it done. I mean, to their own shop to have it done.
Right. Chuck, want to add something?
Only that I think the part about making this easier, I think it was Jeff that said it, making it easier for those legitimate, credible shops is a good thing, so that they are getting the right parts, they have access to the tools that they really need. And there are, let's be fair about it, there are some really good third-party Apple and tech shops out there that are competent to do this. It's one of those things I still would want to be ultra careful with. But if you are lucky enough to have one of those shops in your area, this would have to be a boon for them, I would think. Other than that, I'm not going to crack any of my iPads. Just not going to happen.
I've publicly said that too. I'll never repair my own devices. Eric, you can wrap this one up.
Yeah, it was, I guess, interesting to me that the right to repair oftentimes is listed as keep your older devices running longer, and that's why they want it. Yet the article pointed out that a lot of times the cost of the part that you get is worth more than the device. So even though it's an option, it may not actually be taken.
Yep. All right. So let's talk a little bit about WWDC expectations. I wanted to kind of throw some of these out here. I have some articles in the show notes, but I'm not going to go through all this because most of it's speculation, rumor, but I wanted to have it as a bit of a reference. So I'll just kind of focus on iOS. And as we've talked about, they more than likely are going to change the naming schemes from what we had thought of is going to be iOS 19 to iOS 26 and add that number to all the rest of the OSs that are on Apple's devices. I think definitely what's going to happen, and I think that's what I'll just kind of sum up, is there is going to be a major OS redesign. It's been overdue for a long time. I kind of agree with some of these rumors that are going out there. And I think that's something that we're going to kind of highly expect that's going to happen, because it's been well overdue. I think it's been at least 5, maybe 7 years since the last time Apple really did a really major revamping of iOS. So I'll open up to the panel. I mean, all the stuff you've read, is anything that caught your eye that might be something that is you think is going to happen when the announcements happen on Monday, the June 9th? We'll start with you, Jeff.
So much of what we're expecting feels like the low-hanging fruit.
Mhm.
And I am expecting Apple to talk about Apple Intelligence and to show off new features. Although what I hope they do is focus on the features that they already promised that aren't available. And I hope we finally get some improvement in the S Lady. I expect we will get the this rumored new interface, an interface refresh that that does unify to a degree the Apple interface experience across all devices. Yeah, I'm not expecting to be overly surprised with announcements for operating systems, and that's not a bad thing. What I want them to do is actually really double down on taking what's already there and making it work better, or making it work right, or actually just making it work.
Making it work. Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Chuck? Is anything that's been you're seeing things? I know you don't follow a lot of this very closely, but there might be something that you might think that could come to WWDC announcements.
Oh, I think that we're going to see enhancements to the operating system. I mean, whatever its name is, or whenever it arrives. And my prediction is that about half the people are going to be happy with them, the other half are not. No matter what they are, it doesn't matter. That always seems to be the way it works out. I'm kind of with Jeff and some of your comments. I would like to see things tightened down a little bit and polished. I think we're overdue for a polishing session, refresh, call it what you will. Anytime I start hearing the OS redesign, I get a little nervous, because okay, you're going to throw out a lot of institutional knowledge with people, and are you really going to enhance the experience? I'm open to it. I'm absolutely open to it, but I just want sometimes it feels like not just Apple but everybody changes things to change things so they can say we did a refresh, and I'd rather stop doing cosmetic things and just takes care of some of those long-standing bugs and some of the short-standing ones too.
Okay, Eric.
I'm just going for less glitchy. Little rough spots. I want that kind of smoothed over. I kind of hope that they go further with the environments that they have in Vision Pro, and kind of do things like you can be in an environment, but then share that out to speakers so that you're surrounded by more sound around the house or what. Yeah, I think they could have some fun with that.
Yep. And what about you, Marty?
Muted, Marty.
Yeah. I'm thinking of what Chuck said in terms of just doing it to make it put a new fresh coat of paint on it, and not really have functionality, and losing the institutional memory. I think they're really trying to simplify by doing this. They're trying to simplify the interface. And if you spend time with Vision OS, you'll see it's pretty simple. It's bare bones. It is icons on a screen, and there you go. There's not docks, there's not menu bars, there's none of that. It's pretty simplified, and to try and do that, I think, is more friendly to not non-sophisticated users. My mother, my father, my uncle, those folks that aren't deep into the bubble like we are with it. I hope that they're not spending a lot of time talking about new things that Apple can do, but more new things that the developers can do to integrate better with Apple. I think this should be really be developer centric in terms of the keynote, to say, here are the things that we're offering you to be able to integrate easier with our apps. Some app intense kinds of ways of working, and I hope the discussion is more about that than look at the multiple shades of translucent screens that you can make with Solarium. That being said, I think we'll see things like some AI driven features like battery life optimization, and maybe some AI being used with shortcuts, a refreshed health app. The health app is great, but it's thick. There's lots of different ways to try and find what you're really looking for in the health app. So simplifying that. And they've talked about a gaming hub. Arcade is cool, but I don't know, to me, it's just a separate place where you find your games. And if you're doing that, and then possibly some integration with AirPods. So that's my thinking of what's going to happen on the iOS end.
Okay. All right. We'll definitely find out, and you'll definitely hear about the after next week on what happens at WWDC 25. Let's go ahead and move on. Apple did Apple's new homeOS. Could this excite Jeff? It might debut next week at WWDC. You're always expecting different Apple software reveals, and this is not going to be year is going to be no different. What I think stood out for this is the fact that a trademark filing for homeOS is what could be potentially hinting that Apple could debut it. And it's always focusing on software, so that's what really this is going to be. And then, of course, when they revealed Vision Pro, that was Vision OS, that they saw that. So there's been lots of rumors of the fact that potentially the home pad's going to make a debut, or it's going to be a home hub with this. But this was discovered just a couple weeks ago when a trademark was submitted on that, which would make total sense whether it is. And of course, the Apple puts it under LLC, so you don't really know is that really truly Apple or not. But but there is potential this could happen. I'm going to start with you, Jeff. Do you think we're in line to have homeOS, and finally the HomePods are going to have its own OS?
That would be nice. I wish I could be excited about announcements like this. The problem is that unless releasing a new home OS fixes the underlying infrastructure, it doesn't matter, because it's broken. I mean, home user smart home automation is a dumpster fire anyhow. And what Apple's doing on paper is great. In practice, it is just as janky and fragile as everything else. And so I'll get excited after I see what they announce and test it myself and see if it works. But as it stands right now, it is so broken that if you have one small thing go wrong with your HomeKit setup, like one little thing gets corrupted in your database, that's it. The only answer Apple has is you have to completely reset your HomeKit setup and start from scratch. Apple needs to address problems like this. So, okay, let's see if that rumored operating system, addresses these serious flaws. And if not, come on, Apple, step it up.
I'm just going to open up to the rest of the panel. Has anybody ever had any thoughts, ideas on this? HomeOS is going to happen? Is it not? Is it not going to happen?
It calls me back every once in a while to try and set it up and use it. And it's like a girlfriend that you want to keep giving an extra chance to. It pleads to me and says, please take me back. Please take me back. And that lasts like one date because just the kind of things that Jeff talked about. And the other thing that would be my hope would be that it's not this home device is not what all the graphics are predicting. Basically, a home pod with a screen attached to it. I've got one of those A-Lady devices that sits up on my wall, and all it does is run ads all day, and I've completely tuned it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the functionality I want. I want a touch screen integrated system on the wall of my kitchen, on the wall of my living room, on the wall of my office. And all of that is a place where I can choose where music's going and what am I doing and things like that. That would, if there was a new hint at a new product, that would have been, that's on my wish list. Don't think it's going to happen at WWDC.
All right. Chuck or Derek, want anything?
I think it's really interesting. We've talked about this before. I think it's interesting how different our respective experiences are with all of the home devices. And I'm not sure that we don't set ourselves up for happiness or failure because of if you have high expectations, they're going to let you down. If you have more tempered expectations, then maybe you can either live with it or might even like it. My A-Lady experience is, I'll give it a B+. My Siri experience, I'm sorry, the S-Lady. Hope I didn't trigger anybody's. My S-Lady experience is about B+. Because I guess those are my expectations. So, would I love to see the HomeOS get better and more approachable? Absolutely. It might encourage me to try more sophisticated things. So I'm hopeful that whenever it does get here, that it will fulfill that promise. Right now, I'm just not optimistic, and I'm not willing to invest a huge amount of time in any of these because when you start investing that much time, sort of like Marty's girlfriend, that's when you start to get disappointed.
Yep. Eric, you want anything else?
Yeah, every year there's a session on automation or control or home or something like that, and I think there'll be at least a session this year as well. I think the thought was originally that AI would be much further along, or Apple Intelligence would be much further along, and I don't see it ready now. So, still discussing the programming changes for developers makes sense, and then maybe having some product, first quarter of next year is what I would expect.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, we'll see. All right, let's go ahead and move on to some news this week. The Instagram is going to release the app finally for iPad. It's reportedly coming soon. And when do you expect it? A few days ago, in 15 years too late, Meta released an official iPad app for WhatsApp, and then and while many celebrated the end of one of the most inevitable software holdouts in App Store history, others are asking the most obvious follow-up question: well, what about Instagram? According again to our friend Mark Gurman, on last week, he did say it's full steam ahead, and it's in development and testing a native Instagram app for the iPad. He was told that employees on the Meta Platforms campus are actively testing it for the iPad, and developing work is full steam ahead. So, but why the delay? To many, the lack of iPad support across Meta's portfolio has been long felt like a petty swipe at Apple and Mark Zuckerberg's way of getting back at Tim Cook. I don't know about that, but for one, Zuckerberg reportedly had felt personally slighted by Cook and then responded, "I wouldn't be in this situation." After journalist Kara Swisher asked, "Would he do it with Apple being faced with a privacy scandal like Cambridge Analytica?" So there you go. Let's bring all that, rehash all that up again. So again, part of the delay is technical issues, I guess, with Instagram, because Instagram does work a little differently. So, Chuck, what do you think? Is this even important?
Listen, I think I'm shocked that we haven't seen this before, because no matter how upset Zuckerberg was, Zuck wants information. He wants your eyeballs, and therefore he gets the rest of you. And those big, beautiful iPad screens, and you've not been able to use the Instagram app on them. Maybe not as much for creation, but as for just sheer enjoyment. I think it's a lot easier to start doom scrolling Instagram than it is to doom scroll some of the other services. So I loved it. I love to see this because of the content consumption part of it, and I can't believe it's taken them this long. He must have really hated Tim Cook for what he said.
Must have. How about you, Jeff?
I have a slightly different take on the delay. I think there were two factors at play. One was technical, but I think the bigger thing was that Facebook wanted something from Apple, or Meta wanted something from Apple, and they were holding back Instagram as leverage to get whatever this concession that they want to have from Apple. With Instagram coming out, my take is that Apple gave Meta whatever that concession was. So I want to know what that is. Yes, I'm totally crafting this without any insider information to back up anything I'm saying. But, feel free to report it as fact, whatever. We live in new times.
Wow, Jeff, you're even more paranoid than I am. Wow, that's impressive.
Chuck, when you teach someone and they reach the level where they're no longer the student, then you are a good teacher. So thank you, Sensei.
You're welcome.
Well played. Marty, your thoughts?
All I'm going to say is Pixel Fed runs on the iPad.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get out of the trash heap that Meta can provide us, and all of the data grabbing that Meta can provide us, and Pixel Fed runs on the iPad.
Oh. Eric, to wrap this one up?
Yeah, foldable phones. They finally gotten big enough to be the same size as an iPad, and so.
Well, could have that option too. All right, couple Apple TV Plus stories. This was sports related here. Apple TV is emerging as the leading candidate among streamers to land more Major League Baseball rights. Apple TV is reportedly the leading streamer to land some of the MLB rights, currently resting with ESPN, because ESPN decided to bail out 3 years before their contract ran out. But it may not necessarily get the rights, because NBC is eyeing for it as well, back as well. But reports emerged last month that NBC is bidding for all of ESPN's current MLB rights. But the league, like many other properties, are weighing pros and cons with all this. If it were to be a deal, probably 3 years, and then they would probably pick up like Sunday Night Baseball and maybe some of the deals that whatever other games that ESPN would show. So again, Apple TV Plus jumping in on more sports. Expanding what they have. Right now, they have the Friday Night Baseball. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And that's been pretty successful. And I think it's a very good experience watching the games on Friday nights when you watch it on the Apple TV Plus platform. Start with you, Marty. What do you think? Is this going to be a good thing for Apple grabbing this?
besides MLS, I would like to see Apple grab a sport. And I think MLB is the sport to grab for them. They do such a good job on the Friday nights. I know, Dave, you and I have a disagreement in terms of the announcers that we're used to our you were used to our announcers that we see with our streamed. But they have so many possibilities that they can do with camera and data, and even on Vision Pro, being able to have the game and then have projections of ball, of home run flights and data going on underneath the screen that you're looking with. There's so much Apple can do with it. I don't think it's fully realized yet on Friday night. They're kind of sticking to almost too traditional of a platform to kind of win favor. I just would be excited to see them get more games, and actually I would be fine with them being an alternative to MLB.
Agree.
MLB TV.
Right. Eric, anything to add on this?
Not really. Although it will be nice to see what they can do with it if they get more opportunities.
Chuck, anything to add? I know, Jeff, you're not a sports fan. I know they wear their tights, so but
their costumes.
Their costumes.
You're muted. Chuck, you're muted too.
I'm sorry, I sneezed and I didn't want you to hear it.
No.
Sports still brings people, and sports brings live viewership like pretty much nothing else. So I'm glad to see Apple playing in this space, because I feel like no matter what the sport, especially the mainstream sports, it's just going to get more and more important for the survival of pretty much any streaming platform. I'm not a baseball fan. This is a non-starter for me, but as an Apple fan, I think it's a really smart move.
Yep. All right. And then this has to do with the schedule for Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus. I'm excited. On July 4th, we'll be able to see our Cubbies, Marty it's at Wrigley against St. Louis Cardinals, and that's an afternoon game because it's on the 4th of July at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Time. And it looks like they got some pretty good games. Well, that second game, I don't know how really exciting that's going to be. Los Angeles Angels versus the Toronto Blue Jays. Both teams are but it looks like they got the Detroit Tigers, Seattle Mariners, and a number of other games that will be coming pretty good here soon. It's good to see they pick up good games, and we'll see. That's unusual to have an afternoon game on a Friday, but of course, being it's the holiday, that's exciting. So some good baseball.
With national coverage, they can say, "Here's the hot team. Let's cover this one as the national game." Apple doesn't have that luxury to kind of choose which games they can cover in the moment in the spot, because they would be covering. They want to get a balance so everybody's team gets an opportunity. National coverage doesn't always work that way, and so. They are fighting that.
Yeah. So, okay. And then a couple ChatGPT stories I thought were interesting. ChatGPT for Mac is now going to record meetings, and you can answer questions about your cloud files. OpenAI is full steam ahead in its plan to turn ChatGPT into a true productivity assistant, especially for teams and small businesses. So starting today, this week, these users will get access to a new record mode and a cloud drive integration. For record mode, you have to have a team, enterprise, or EDU are users. It's not going to be the Plus users. So these are the people who are paying $250 a month for this service. So this is probably not for everybody here. But what it's going to do is you'll access to that record button and then other prompting tools. Once it's pressed, the button will launch a widget that instantly starts recording and transcribing audio. And the transcription is then turned into structured notes with overall summaries, key points, action items, and open questions and such. One key differentiator of this feature that's unlike Notion or Zoom's meetings bots that need to join as a participant, ChatGPT's tool does not require any of that. And then cloud drives, you'll be able to connect Now, this actually is going to be available. I have a second story here about it. That Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, Box, and SharePoint. That means that they can now fetch data from your file shares and be able to grab that with connectors. So that's going to be included in that. And as like I said, the other story kind of went along with it. It's now integrating all of these tools with Google Drive and Dropbox, Box, OneDrive, SharePoint. They're all going to be integrated to this, and I think this is going to be a great thing to not have to be feeding files every time you wanted to decode it. You can actually have a folder that's out on your cloud drive and be able to do that. Nothing with iCloud yet, but it's got all the big players like Google Drive and Dropbox for sure. Any thoughts on this at all?
They are trying to get in competition with what Zoom does, because Zoom does the AI integration and work in the workspace, and that's for the normal Zoomy people, not necessarily the enterprise Zoomy people. So this is, I think, when I read it, I thought this is what Zoom is already doing, and ChatGPT wants to get into that market or get into that way. It bothers me a little bit. I mean, I don't necessarily trust that Zoom's not selling my information, but I know ChatGPT might be selling that or using that information to train its own models, which to not see iCloud on the list doesn't surprise me.
No,
for that same reason.
Hey, but Chuck, do you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, I just with Marty. I don't think there's any question that iCloud won't be on this list, and that's not showing no disrespect to ChatGPT. It just is, not consistent with the privacy thing we already talked about. I do think, though, that this may be maybe not the first salvo, but one of the first salvos in, again, the major players trying to integrate things that some of the minor players have been doing and doing pretty well. I can think of at least 3 services right now that I have the ability to get a transcript out with minimal effort. Zoom being one of them, of course, and not going to get into the others, but on the others, I have to drop a recording in, and then it'll transcribe it. And the transcription is still fair for mainstream conversations. It's all very good. For technically oriented conversations, you still have to go through and fix maybe proper names or misunderstandings of technical terms. So I feel like ChatGPT has an opportunity there with all of the data they have to be better at that than anybody else, but that remains to be seen.
Yep. Jeff, any thoughts?
Okay, so OpenAI, it's pretty clear that their goal is to become to everyone what Google is today, meaning it's pervasive and woven through everything you do. You work in Google Docs, you use Gmail, you use Google whatevers. Everyone just has so much that they're doing that's integrated into Google in some way. OpenAI wants that. And so everything that they do, I think, is part of that master strategy of usurping Google and becoming the next ubiquitous tool that we use for everything.
Yep, Eric?
Yeah, this still kind of bothers me. It feels like it's a little too early to have this much integration. I understand wanting to do it, but I'm not confident it's good enough yet. And I worry that this puts too much pressure on Apple to roll out something, and I'd rather they wait.
All right. Last story, just real quick. Apple did announce Apple Arcade's welcoming 9 new games. That includes a number of, there's some Angry Birds game, Angry Birds Bounce, just what we need, another Angry Birds game, right? And Kingdom Rush 5. You also have Sokaya game by XGM IMI, and a lot of strategy apps, Crayola Scribbles, Scrub Pets. That looks like a good kids game, and a number of others. So Apple continues to expand upon Apple Arcade, and it's good to see that we're seeing that expand and seeing where this thing goes with the Apple Arcade. Obviously it's relatively popular. They still continue to bring on these actual games. So. With that, let's before we wrap up, we definitely have to talk about MacStock. MacStock is coming soon as we record. I'm looking at the site here. It's a little more than 35 days away. Holy cow! It's going to be coming up here really soon. Here, this is MacStock 9. It's happening in July 11th, 12th, and 13th. All of us here on the show tonight are going to be there. Marty and myself will be speaking, as well as Jeff. And we're going to just have an absolute blast. Doc Rock's going to be there and Ecamm is a big sponsor, which is absolutely amazing. We got a lot of other great speakers, including Kelly Gamet, Brittany Smith. Get those two in one room together. It's going to be a crazy time. So we're going to have some fun with them as well. Jill McKinley on the show a lot. Brett Terpstra, Allison Sheridan, so many other great speakers. Marty's son, Will, is going to be joining him on a talk as well, and a lot of newcomers too. So come check it out. Again, July 11th, 12th, 13th, and it's going to be amazing. And you can get $50 off if you use the offer code for our show, which is InTouch50. Use that at registration, and you'll get $50 off the admission price for the 3-day event. It's going to be an absolute blast. It's going to feature sessions and workshops. You get lunch each day. You got to have the MacStock t-shirt. I've got every single one of them, and it's going to have to add that to my collection, including a mug. I've got the mugs and the shirts. I keep them in my collection every year, and I'm not going to stop. So come check it out. We're going to have a blast, and go to MacStockConferenceandExpo.com. All the information is in the show notes, and we will love to see you. Lots of great networking. You'll meet a lot of great new people. You'll see old friends, new friends. Just come check it out. It's at the Holly Inn Crystal Lake. It's a wide open place. Our hotel rooms are set aside if you wanted to stay, as well as we're going to stay in the same hotel. So it's a convention center, so you don't even have to leave the hotel if you didn't want to. There's great amenities. Plenty of times sitting in the bar having a few cocktails, and there's going to be probably a little bit of live events as far as us doing our podcasts. I would almost guarantee it. And Vision Pro session is going to be great. And I'll be actually being a part of that this year, because since I'm an owner as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. You just come join us. We can't wait to see you and be there. MacStockConferenceandExpo.com. With that, let's go ahead and wrap up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on BlueSky and Mastodon at InTouchWithIOS. Support the show. Buy me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and you'll be notified when you're live streaming, which is Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/intouchwithios. It was great to see Paul in the chat. We had a number of others that were in the chat tonight while we were streaming and doing the show live. Come join us. It's a lot of fun. And you can watch the past live event, as well as you can listen to past shows. Go to In Touch by iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics we discuss are flipped in that magazine. The link's in our show notes. You can also subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, which includes Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, many others. But better yet, just go to our website, intouchwithios.com, where all the links, all the ways to listen to us are just on that website. I am Dave Ginsburg. You can find me on BlueSky and Mastodon at DaveG65. And Chuck Joyner, thank you so much for being here. Where can people find you?
Thank you, Dave. It's always fun. MacVoices.com is where you can see everything I'm doing. We are doing the Road to MacStock that Dave mentioned at the conference. This is the pre-show going up to the conference, where you get to hear from all the speakers who are going to be there, and they're going to tell you what they're going to be talking about. So you kind of get an idea of what kind of things you'll be learning. Live show Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. And on all the socials, you can find me at Chuck Joyner. And I'd love to hear from you, good, bad, or indifferent. Dave, thanks for having me.
Always. Eric Bolden, thank you for being here. Always enjoy having you on the show. Where can people find you?
I can be found on Mastodon at EA Bolden at mas.to for pictures. Otherwise, Mondays with Dave and Marty and Vision OS, Vision Profiles. Tuesdays with everyone and Chuck on Mac Voices for the Mac OS, and of course Thursday for all of the iOS and everything else wonderfulness.
Yes, great. And Jeff Gamet, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Where can people find you?
Well, thanks for letting me join in over and over. Are you a fool or a saint? I'm not sure which, but regardless, thank you. Okay, so you can find me on social media as Jay Gamet, and I'm active right now on Mastodon and PixelFed and BlueSky. And then for shows, Chuck's Mac Voices live on Tuesdays here with all of you on Dave's In Touch with iOS on Thursdays. On the British Tech Network, The Big Show and The Mac Show. And let's see, Brian Chaffin and I do The Context Machine, and Patrice Brendamore and I do Retro Rewatch.
All right. And then last but certainly not least, Marty Jencius, thank you for being here. Where can people find you?
You can connect with me at Jencius, Jencius, at mastodon.social or bluesky.com. And if you want to find out what's going on with the projects I'm involved in, look at the podtalk.net. Mondays with Eric and also Dave on Vision Profiles. Tuesdays with Chuck on In Touch with iOS. That's a fun group of folks to be with. And Chuck, of course, brings some marvelous articles to start off my week with his show and marvelous comments. Wednesdays, I'm kind of doing some of my own projects. Thursdays here with Dave on In Touch with iOS, and Fridays when I can make it and they don't want me in a dean's meeting. You'll catch me on the Mac Show on the British Tech Network. But everything else, you want to know what I'm into, check out thepodtalk.net.
Yes. Speaking of thepodtalk.net, I'm very pleased to announce that I am going to be a regular contributor to the Vision Profiles podcast. I'm real excited about that. So thank you for you guys having me. I appreciate it. Also on Monday, we're going to be I will be on for Mac Eyes Only for another reaction time episode that Mike Potter loves to do every time Apple announces something. So we kind of have fun doing the oohs and ahs when something gets announced real time when we find out about it. So check that out. That's going to be Monday right when the WWDC starts on June 9th at 12 noon. You'll be able to go back and listen back to that too. But until then, we'll be back next week, and there's going to be plenty to talk about after the post-WWDC discussions. Among other things, I'm sure there'll be plenty of other news, but we can't wait to talk about it. But until then, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. And thanks for everybody in the YouTube chat for being there as well. And until next time, thanks for listening, and we'll talk again soon.